Fidel Castro, Face the Nation. In the early hours of yesterday morning, this was the scene in a studio of television station CMQ in Havana, Cuba. The revolution is over and the studio is jammed with newspaper photographers, armed guards, studio technicians, armed rebel fighters. From this studio in Havana, you are about to see Fidel Castro, leader of the successful rebel forces who overthrew the dictatorship of General Batista. And now, by television tape recording, you will see Fidel Castro face the nation. Now, here is the moderator of Face the Nation, CBS News correspondent Stuart Novins.
The revolution in Cuba has thrown out the Batista administration, and it has installed a provisional government. That was the first step. Now the revolution must consolidate itself. The government must be organized to cope with the many, many problems that now face this country. The man upon whose strength all this depends is Dr. Fidel Castro, who is here now to face the nation. Dr. Castro, the American people hope that a true democracy will emerge here in Cuba. We want to ask you about your personal plans and about what you hope for your country. In order to do that, we're here in this special edition of Face the Nation, and the gentleman I want to identify on your side is there to help you with language if you need it, and I'm sure you won't. May I introduce our panel of newsmen, Dr. Castro? Jay Mallon of Time Magazine, Richard Bate of CBS News, William L. Ryan of the Associated Press, who will ask the first question. Mr. Ryan?
Dr. Castro, the recent events in Cuba have been full of hope for the Cuban people. But is this hopeful revolution now being threatened by some person or persons within the revolutionary organizations?
Our interpreter on this special edition is Mr. Jack Skelly, who has lived here in Cuba for 25 years, a former UP correspondent in Washington.
Well, I'm going to tell you, the government, the president of Cuba now is consolidated in the power and have the help of the biggest movement and of the public opinion.
That is the 26th of July
Yes,
movement, Doctor?
And many other organizations. And he is sure in power. The only thing worrying me is some group that is keeping and I spoke to the public opinion and I asked why to keep arms if there is no tyranny. I asked for they give the arm, turn the arms again, and they said they are going to give the arm.
Doctor,
There is no difficult at all because public opinion in Cuba is now very strong and with a tremendous force. Nobody is enough powerful to opposite now the public opinion of the free country of Cuba.
Doctor, just for clarification, this group that has been carrying arms, is this the student group, the university group?
Not the university group, because the students are almost...
How do you identify this group, Doctor?
A group that several years ago they were students. Now they are not a student, and not all day. 2 or 3 leaders that I am surely that they are the men are not going to follow themselves.
This is the group of Forêt Chamon.
Yes, but Forêt Chamon is going to be to fall in crisis.
Crisis?
In crisis.
Yes.
Because the group is a group of young, idealistic, and good men.
Mr. Bate?
Is this
This is
the
my
same
opinion.
group?
They cannot do anything at all. It will not be another thing than a word. What?
Dr. Castro, is this
No,
the same group that...
Not difficult.
is this the same group, however, that you spoke of the other night when you said someone had stolen some arms from an arsenal near Cuba?
Yes.
Have you gotten those arms back?
Yes, they said they were to turn back, and they cannot do anything because of you have all the mother of Cuba has said that it's not necessary that they send a soldiers to take our soldiers to take the arms because they are decided to go and to take the arms. That is what the mothers of Cuba say, you know, and they cannot do anything. Public opinion is powerful in Cuba, and nobody can opposite public opinion in this time. What they do is to be with the public opinion that have confidence in our movement and in myself and in the provisional government. That is why I think that we will have no trouble. Do you know why? Because we have the power, the forces, the army force, and we are near the president. We help the president without condition. The civil government is sure. He gives orders to us, and we are decided to obey the orders because we are men of law, not professionals of the arms.
Mr. Mallon?
Is it clear?
Yes, yes,
Do you
yes.
believe that the public opinion will hear me in the United States and understand me?
I am sure they will, Dr. Castro.
I am not very much sure.
Of your English, you mean?
I think to improve for next time.
Very good, but you're doing very well now. Mr. Mallon?
Dr. Castro, do you believe that the Directorio will surrender these arms voluntarily?
No, they are men that are good men, young men, will not do anything against the revolution. And they, many of them think in good, well, and love the revolution and the country. There are 2 or 3 leaders, small leaders with big ambitions. That is all, and not difficult at all. You can be sure that will not be difficult. I know quite well my country. I know quite well my people. I know quite well the public opinion. I know that who rule in Cuba now, who gives orders now in Cuba, is the public opinion, with the free press as the
vehicle?
way.
Yes. Dr. Castro, yes, go ahead, Mr. Aaron.
Just what are the ambitions of these leaders? Just what do they want specifically?
Nobody knows. What they want is to worry, to ¿cómo se dice? This what they want is something as name, and I suppose as they see the 26th July movement has the help of all the public opinion. You have seen, did you see yesterday the people?
Dr. Castro?
Hundreds of thousands of people were in the street. They saw that. Those 2 or 3 leaders, and they cannot be happy. What they want is to give us headache.
Dr. Castro, I think there's no doubt that your 26th of July movement is the best organized group and perhaps the largest group, but does that mean that you intend to run the government by yourself? Or will there be...
Myself?
Not you, but your party. Will there be participation of other political
Not
parties?
Big participation, because the president wanted to design the majority of the minister, of the member of the government. He asked us to help him. He asked us so that we permit that our men take part in the government. At the beginning, we were not interested.
Well, what about the Directorio, Dr. Castro? Will they also have positions in the ministry, in the cabinet?
Well, the president, when we elected him, it was without condition, you know. And what happened is this: if this small group, you give participation in 2 or 3 months, if they want, they said this is not good for anything, you give they participation, they use that to produce a crisis. It is better for the government, for the surely, and for the development of the provisional government, so that we have not possibility of crisis.
You think it is the purpose of the Directorio to create a real crisis in Cuba so that they can take
No.
over power? Is that what you're saying?
2 or 3 small leaders
Yes.
that are trying to produce, not to produce the crisis, are trying to play with fire. Do you know?
Yes.
But that they will not go very far, because nobody follow those kind of people.
I see.
Dr. Castro,
Do you
you said that
Yes.
in
That is the truth.
you
Madam.
said that in 18 months or so there will be free elections in Cuba. When
Yes.
this time comes, will all political parties be allowed to run candidates in these elections?
Yes, of course.
All political parties, including the Directorio.
Of course, if we don't give free to all the political parties to organize, we are not a democratic country. We have fought for the democracy here and for the freedom
Why
of
would
our
it be?
people. We don't want to stop and to put any difficulty to anybody.
And
We
why would-
believe in democracy.
Why will it be necessary to wait 18 months before free elections can be held?
Well, do you think it is good for the Cuba now, when all the people what want is peace, when all the people that what want is that the government repair the mistakes and the barbarity of the before government? Don't you believe that our country needs at least 1 year to work? Do you believe that between in the fight of the political party, is it possible to do anything? If we give a free election tomorrow, we win because we have almost all the people. We have now more people than in 18 years.
Do you-
Because after 18 years, I am sure many people are going to be tired
Do you
of
feel
me
that?
and of everybody, because people tired very, very fast.
But do you feel that there would be
That is
trouble
it.
if free elections were held tomorrow in Cuba? Do you feel that you would rather have almost over a year in order to consolidate things before free elections are held?
Really? I think it is good at about 18 months, not more and not less. Because, as you know, the political party need time for reorganize,
Yes.
and
Each-
to work,
each
to
party.
make propaganda.
But Dr. Castro, what guarantees are there then after 18 months? What is the guarantee that there will be free elections after 18 months?
Well, the public opinion in first place. Second place, our word. Third place, our intention that have been proved. Fourth thing, because we are men without interest.
Are you considering revising the
And five, because it is logic. What we win in not doing election. If we have the people, don't you believe we have the people of Cuba? Do you want to make a survey?
Not at all.
Okay.
I
if you
just
have
want
some
to
doubt,
satisfy my own curiosity in this respect. Are you considering, for example, revising the Constitution in any way to protect rights which have been trampled on before?
why? Why it is not necessary at all.
It is not necessary.
Our constitution, everybody in our country is happy with our constitution. To
Yes.
change the constitution now is to provocate
To provoke.
difficult. Not people is not going to be quiet. And what the country needs is that everybody have confidence. And we have said our constitutional law is the Constitution of 1940, and everybody is happy and is sure and know what to do.
Mr. Mallon?
Castro,
Is it clear?
will the communist or a communist front party be permitted to participate in the elections?
What? what I think about that is this: that when the tyranny was falling, the country they are going to be the same right that were before the 10th of March 10, 1952. And what I think that that all the rights of the Constitution ought to be respect. Are you afraid of the idea? Do you believe that the democratic man ought to be afraid of any idea?
Dr. Castro,
I
you
am a
are a
man of
lawyer.
faith.
You are a lawyer, and I'm afraid I will have to act as a judge. We'd like you to answer our questions.
Well, I am not afraid
No,
of freedom at all.
May I ask you a question, sir? As a lawyer and as one who has spoken very eloquently about the civil rights that
Yes.
must be guaranteed to the Cuban
Yes.
people, how
I
do you
will
explain...
never be against any right. That is my thinking in politics.
Very
I am
good.
not communist at all. But I will never be against any right.
Well, may
Dr.
I ask you,
Castro.
sir, why is it when you have that attitude, which you obviously believe very strongly, why with that attitude have there been so many executions across Cuba without open, free trials?
What? Please?
Con la actitud que tienes tú para los derechos humanos, eso que en el gobierno pasado se han execucionado tantas personas.
Well, not so many.
How many?
I don't know exactly about 2 or 3 dozen of criminals, because I think the judge is the first thing necessary for the happiness of the country. And because if somebody have killed 12 or 15 or 30 men, has not right at all to live. And you in the United States, when somebody kill one, you send it to the chair, electric chair.
Yes, but it's
After
a
a
jury.
trial.
Why do you in the
After
United
a
States
trial.
kill so many people every year in the electric chair?
Dr. Castro,
Do you permit me to ask you?
After a
About
trial.
the public
After a
opinion
trial,
in the
Dr.
States?
Castro.
Doctor, we don't want to debate, but the point that I'm trying to get your opinion on is this. There have been no open trials.
Of course.
Exactly.
By
I would like-
trial, with proof, by trial, not without trial.
A
In what
military
kind of court?
tribunal.
They were judged.
It's important that the American
Of
people know
course,
that.
you
That's
can
why I'm
be
asking.
surely.
Certainly.
You can be surely. We will never punish anybody without trial. Trial.
May I ask Dr. Castro?
What happened is this.
Yes.
The proof are very easy. You want to go to some, for example, you go to some small city, the captain of police have killed 20 men. A dozen of mother go to the trial to say, this killed my son, this killed my son, this killed. Everybody know. The proof is easy.
But this is a military court, Doctor?
Yes,
See.
yes. And another thing you ought to know, and if you don't know, you ought to ask and to inform public opinion of the United States that we in the war, during the war, captured thousands of prisoners, and that we never killed one. We never tortured anyone. We never struck anyone. That is a fact, a history fact here. And you can be surely that overall we are
Responsible?
we respect
Yes.
the
Dr.
human
Castro, may
rights.
I ask you another
And what we
question?
think is this, that the criminal ought to be punished, because we don't want that never again in our country. Criminal can be the chief of policeman and of the army.
Dr. Castro, we've heard that there are soldiers now training in the Sierra Maestra. We've heard your brother, as a matter of fact, made a statement that the soldiers of the revolution were not going to immediately return to civilian life. Are these men being trained, additional new troops, for possible trouble in Cuba, or are they being trained to possibly participate in other hot spots in the Caribbean?
Era muy duro porque todavía están entrenando tropas que tu hermano también confirmó que no iban a desbandar las tropas inmediatamente. Creo que eso es
question is being interpreted.
Not. We are training some groups of those men that were not regular soldiers of the revolution. And so that we joined them, they were with bad arms. And they were doing what they could against tyranny. And what we have made is to take them, to join them, to disciplinate them as a matter of public order.
How large an army do you feel Cuba needs in
Not
normal
very
times?
big. Not very big, because we have as army all the people of Cuba. When it be necessary to defend our country, here the men and the women fight. I think that everybody ought to be soldier of our country to defend our country. That is why we don't need a big army. We need a small army for defense, for keeping the order when it be necessary, and to defend the country.
Dr. Castro, what is the attitude of your group toward the Dominican Republic?
What?
What is the attitude of your group toward the Dominican Republic?
Of course, we think that Trujillo is our enemy. We think that. It does not mean that we are going to attack Trujillo. But Trujillo sent very much arms to Batista during the Civil War. And Trujillo is enemy of every democratic government. And Trujillo is always trying to do everything he can against democracy here in Cuba, in Venezuela, and in other countries. Trujillo is the enemy of all the...
Would your country sell arms to a rebel movement in the Dominican Republic?
What? I think that the provisional government would not sell arms for revolution. I think that what is what I think, I would not sell. I would give.
Mr. Ryan?
Dr.
Yes.
Castro, may I
Well,
shift to another
but
subject?
I want to tell you that it doesn't mean that I am going to give arms.
I see.
I want to be clear. I sympathize with the Dominican, but it is not necessary to buy arms to defeat a tyranny. We proved that it was not necessary.
Dr.
If
Castro.
the Dominican want, they alone are enough for defeating Trujillo. What they needed was the example, and we gave them the example.
Would you give them
Do you
some
understand
advice?
now?
Yes. Would you give them some advice in the form of some trained leaders, perhaps some field commanders, some military strategists?
Question being interpreted for Dr. Castro.
No, not at all. What we want now is peace. What we want now is to pay attention to our things here. That is what we want now.
Dr. Castro, could you tell us what your opinion is of United States policy during this period of your revolution?
Well, do you want I tell you the truth?
That's all we want.
I know. I sympathize with the people of the United States. Not as because I want to win the people now. But really and sincerely, I think the people of the United States are good people. Newsmen of the United States, I have known many during the war and after the war. And I have a wonderful opinion of all you. And about government of the United States, I think they were mistaken. About Cuba and about United and the other countries of America. They armed dictator, believing it was a good political, because they didn't think what kind of people are those people of Latin America. What I think is the United States have been not worried at all about our feeling, our democratic feeling. United States is speaking about democracy and forgetting the feeling, democratic feeling of those countries of Latin America.
Dr.
And between them, Cuba. Do you see those Sherman tanks? Do you see those airplanes? Do you see those big bombs of 500 pounds, they were sold by government of the United States to Batista. And Batista was always telling to the soldier, to his soldier, United States is with us. United States is helping us. United States is giving arms to us, you know? And so he engañó.
Sí, engañaron.
No sabe. He didn't, never said the truth to the United States, and so he carried the arm, he carried his army to the complete destruction, because he said, here, you see, there are the 10 officers, 12 officers here, training you. United States, help us, help me. And the soldier believes the United States was helping them. Well, but United States, I ought to recognize that the last year, United States changed his policy. United States didn't send arms to Batista. Stop. But you asked me how was his policy. I said you the truth. I think it was a mistake. He stopped, it was good, and we are happy for that. United States recognized our government. It was good. We are happy for that. Do you understand?
Is there any truth to the story that
the United States changed?
Is there any truth to the story that you've asked or are thinking about asking the recall of the American ambassador here?
I cannot ask for that because I am not the Minister of State, the Secretary of State. Do you know? I cannot answer you about that.
Dr.
I
Castro,
don't want to make intervention in the government.
there is one question I think you can answer very briefly. I understand that a businessman has offered you $25,000 for your beard. Did you accept the offer?
Well, no, I am not going to sell my beard.
Thank you very much, Dr. Castro, and thanks to Jay Mallon of Time Magazine, Dick Bate of CBS News, William L. Ryan of the Associated Press. This is Stuart Novins. We invite you to join us again for Face the Nation. Today's special edition came from Havana.
Face the Nation was produced by Ted Ayers, associated in production with Frank Donge and Roberto Wilkinson. The director for television station CMQ in Havana was Roberto Miranda. Today you saw by television recording Dr. Fidel Castro, leader of the rebel forces who overthrew the dictatorship of General Batista in Cuba. Face the Nation. Members of the panel who interviewed Dr. Castro were William L. Ryan of the Associated Press, Jay Mallon of Time Magazine, and Richard Bate of CBS News. The moderator was CBS News correspondent Stuart Novins. Face the Nation is a weekly presentation of CBS News.